So welcome to Ignite Purpose. My name is Christina Foxwell. To everybody out there, I'm the founder of Ignite Purpose, and today I'm actually joined by somebody who I've known for a long time. Must be 15 years.
Have to be at least 15 years, I think, and the first time we've actually worked together, so very pleased to be here.
It's exciting. So
it is.
I'm here with Ken Johnston, who's also going to be joining us on our webinar, which is incredibly exciting because we're passionate about the same thing. Which
Very
is
much so.
the performance of people that drive profitability and organisational outcomes, right?
Yep. Without your people, you are going nowhere, and unless you're coaching them for continued improvement, then you're standing still.
One of my passions. And of course, we both have led sales businesses.
Yes.
And that's what I want to talk about today, because one of the things that we're going to be addressing in our upcoming webinar, and we'll put it on the podcast as well, is really being able to master sales pipeline as a bit of the heartbeat of the organisation. And before we get there, let's first quickly talk about your experience, because I think that's really, really important. So, Ken, your new role currently at BlueScope is National Pricing and Performance Manager?
National Sales and Pricing Manager.
There we go.
So
Thank
close.
you. I almost got it, didn't I?
Very close.
And before that, you've been a state manager for them. Before that, you've worked at, come on, just walk the audience through it quickly.
Look, starting in FMCG with Cadbury and then Arnott's.
Yes.
Over to some...
I love your stories on Arnott's, by the way.
Arnott's was a good time, I must say. Over to some industrial work with O'Brien Glass.
Yes.
Into the liquor industry with Foster's Group, or CUB as it was when I first started.
Yes.
From there into subscription software with Wolters Kluwer.
That's where you and I met.
That's where we met when I
Yes.
was at Wolters Kluwer. Into hardware with Fletcher Group and
Yes.
Laminex in particular.
Yes.
A little bit of time out on my own, and then the last 7 and a bit years with BlueScope.
And in 2 or 3 words, how would you describe your sales leadership experience? Oh, you can give me a whole sentence here anyway.
In 2 words, it's very varied. Look, it's a learning experience.
Nice.
Obviously,
Nice.
the longer you go, the more you learn, the better you like to think you've got at it.
I really like that, because if I am a sales leader that's continually learning, it means I allow my sales business to continually learn.
Yeah, and look, a lot of things change over time. People change. You hear the talk always about the millennials versus the Gen Ys, etc. So the harsh reality is times change, people change, expectations of your staff will change, the expectations of your customer changes. Expectations of businesses actually remain fairly stable. They need sustainable, profitable growth.
That's expectations from any board, right? Okay, so I've got some questions for you, because we're going to have 2 conversations.
Yep.
And you and I are both incredibly passionate about sales pipelines.
Yep.
In the work we've done, Ken, and some of the research we've done, and I know it transformed my own life as a salesperson and as a sales leader, was having the sales pipeline as the heartbeat of developing and growing the work we do. And allowing people to understand the heartbeat, really supercharge their capabilities to close deals, and also to recognise where they've got to push and pull their own strategic sales focus to deliver outcomes. What has your experience been with the sales pipeline being the heartbeat of an organisation? Just the framing up. Do you agree? Do you feel that's what you've experienced as a sales leader?
There's no doubt that's the case. I think, if you really break it down to the core element, businesses are craving success. They need results. Now, most salespeople, that is also part of their characteristic. They like to achieve, they like to chase results.
Yes.
The only way you will be able to have any comfort at night knowing that you're going to get those results for the next day or week or month or whatever it is if your pipeline's in good shape. So, yeah, the reality of not just getting the results, but being comfortable and confident that you're going to get the results consistently means you have to have a solid pipeline.
Now, this is where the tech has helped us, but also challenged us. Because I remember years ago, this gives away my age, we were using Excel spreadsheets, which were really robust conversations, and it had formulas in, and as sales managers, we were all over it. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, we've got tech and CRMs, which is amazing. But I'm just going to say this, shit in, shit out is the first challenge. This is what I've seen. So you can kind of tell me your perspective. I found that salespeople are very scared of putting information into the pipeline because they are so concerned that it is going to stop them from being effective.
Yeah, I think that's true in many cases. I think where that's true, it's actually a leadership issue. So salespeople should never be scared of putting things into their pipeline. They should never be scared of actually giving an honest opinion as to the percentage chance that they're going to win it.
Yes.
Never scared of putting in the accurate detail around it, because the reality is we need that level of honesty. And I think where a lot of individuals come unstuck and where a lot of businesses come unstuck is they lie to themselves.
Nice one. This is such an interesting topic because salespeople are optimists. And we don't want them to be so realistic that they never unlock opportunities. But if we're going to lead data-led organizations in the future, which is where things are going, the more honest we are about where we believe we are, the better. But also being able to recognize that it's not a bad thing to have that kind of honesty with yourself. It unlocks your ability to either come up with a new strategy or to challenge the status quo or to go and find new opportunities and prospects and to convert your leads. But I think salespeople get stuck in fear, and this is what I've seen. They're scared they're going to be shown up as not good enough. Mm-hmm. And this comes back to a coaching conversation where, where leaders, sales leaders are not coaching, they are micromanaging.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be. The core role of a sales leader is to improve the performance of their salespeople.
Yes.
So if you're going to improve the performance of your salesperson, you need to be having open, honest conversations around where they are, what's required to take the next step. And that next step might be in general about their career, but it could be as specific about a particular project in the pipeline.
Yes.
But it has to start from a level of honesty. Both parties need to have full trust in each other.
Yes.
And there needs to be a genuine alignment around the fact that as a leader, that leader is just there to help and support.
Nice. So here's the doozy. As a leader, I'm held accountable for the numbers that my team generate. So then I go into an anxiety state when the numbers aren't showing up. Mm-hmm. And so what I've seen leaders do is then they micromanage every single thing that person does versus actually start going on the road and developing their people and being a partner. They start going into the micromanagement of success. And that kills it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And there's simple equations behind it. I mean, the reality is if I'm your sales leader and I'm completely reliant on your success for me to be successful, I can only micromanage you so much, even if I want to. The reality is what I need to be able to do is to go out with you for a day and coach and support you, and then hope that I've done a good enough job and that you're doing a good enough job to be better for the next 5 days, 10 days, whatever it is, before I go out with you again. I can't constantly micromanage you because I've got half a dozen people in the team, 12 people in the team, whatever it is.
So, okay, so let's reframe this. Do you think it's the mindset of the sales leader that can shift and then empower the salespeople to be different? Because I do believe it starts with leadership. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that question?
There's no doubt. No doubt. The leader sets the tone. That's at every level in life, let alone business. The leader sets the tone.
Yes. So how do we teach sales leaders how to lead differently? because that's the biggest gap I've seen. Maybe it's because top salespeople have been promoted into sales leadership. I don't know. What do you think?
I was just going to say one of the one of the challenges we get. It's an interesting question. How do we get them to lead differently? I think the starting point is how do we get them to lead at all? Because quite often people get promoted because they were good at selling or because of a specific skill set they had. The further you go in your career, the less the specific skill set matters, and the ability to assist and coach more broadly becomes more important.
So, if you look at my career and your career, if you think about having created a sales performance culture where you've turned salespeople around, what are 3 or 4 things that you feel were your guiding principles?
Look, that's changed a lot over the years. When I first started in sales leadership with Cadbury, there is no doubt I was incredibly directive. I had a method that had worked for me as a salesperson.
Yes. And that's what you were going to see happen.
And I was going out with my guys and saying, you do this.
Okay.
And yeah, it was really clear, and we were successful for a short period of the time. The reality is, had I stayed in that role for extended periods of time, it wouldn't have been successful, and certainly it wouldn't have helped any of those people to progress their careers. No. But young and not so bright, you only realise that years later. Now, what I have learnt very much over time, that the ability to lead and to coach well is actually driven by the quality of your questions and genuine curiosity. I actually want to know.
Yes.
So you cannot be the expert.
No.
It's not your job to be the expert, and the reality is you're too distant to be the expert anyway.
So let's talk reality here. To shift from this is what I know to this is how you're going to be better and I'm going to walk next to you. If I shift that coaching, you just said short-term results from that directive, this is what you're going to do. I had a leader like that. She petrified me, terrified me, and I changed the way I played the game, and then I took her job, right? But that's kind of what happens, right? But to shift from that directive leadership style to a growth leadership style, I mean, what does that look like for a leader? Like how, I'm just thinking some of them are going, you mean I'm going to lose business? I'm going to not be what I've always done? I mean, walk me through what you think, because it's an interesting Rubik's Cube challenge, right?
Look, potentially it's going to be very different to what you've always done. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Done well, it will grow business. You won't lose business. You will grow business because your people are better.
Yes.
And because you're having more honest conversations, you are aware of the issues earlier.
Because they'll tell you.
They'll tell you. Because they're not scared. They're not scared, and they know that if they talk to you about the issue, you're not going to sit there and abuse them or tell them they're dumb or they've made mistakes or anything. You're going to go, great, so what's the path forward?
Beautiful. I do love this, which means we're going to talk about one of my favourite things, which is one-on-one coaching. And then we're going to wrap up this segment so that people can dial into the next one, right? If I'm having those regular conversations, I found there's a lack of really good one-on-one coaching around pipeline that's happening. Because often sales leaders go, I do it on the fly. Now, when I hear that, I want to have a heart attack, lie on the floor and like drool like Homer Simpson, because doing it on the fly, to me, is a really ineffective way of valuing your team and really getting into the work. What are your thoughts around that?
You can't do it on the fly. It needs to be a reasonably formalised process to be successful, and it is completely reliant on the pipeline, as you say. So, yeah, my view is you pick a day in the week. For most times, Friday afternoon's good because it means you get to go home comfortable, and the salesperson goes home comfortable. But you're really looking for 2 things in that weekly one-on-one conversation. The first is, did you do what you said you were going to do last week, and did it get the results that you and I both thought it would get? And if it did, great, we're right. If it didn't, let's have a chat about that, because clearly we were wrong and we want to understand what we need to do differently next time. The second piece is, what is the plan for next week and what do you expect it to achieve? And between the 2 of us, we go, Yeah, I think that's a fantastic
Right.
plan, and we both get to go home for the weekend very comfortable, very confident that you're going to be successful next week, which in turn means I am.
I love that. I love that. I will add one more idea which I found in mine is I like shifting it over and saying, this is your business. So I want you to come in and present it to me. And we used to talk 30, 60, 90 days. Some organisations do, some don't. But where's your revenue pipeline coming from in the next 3 months? And based on what you're working on, to your very point, what have you done? What haven't you done? What's come up? What's a risk? What do you think will land? What help do you need?
Yep.
But I find a lot of sales managers run through the pipeline and go, so what's this deal at? Where's this deal at? Where's this deal at? And what that does is it takes away the joy of selling.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Yeah, and it's not up to the sales manager to do that unless you've got somebody that is particularly underperforming and doing so consistently. If you've got a high quality salesperson, they can come in very easily and they should own that meeting. It's not up to you to own the meeting. You're there as a support. They should be able to very succinctly say, here's what I did last week, here's the results. It's what we thought they were. Here's my plan for next week, next fortnight, whatever it is. Here's what I expect it to achieve, and here's why. And we'll go, that's great. Ask a couple of questions just to make sure we're also confident. And yeah, everybody gets to go home happy. Now, if what they present going forward doesn't make sense, or you don't think it is enough, then that's okay. You ask the questions, you understand, and it will either end with you feeling more confident or the salesperson actually having to go out and do a little bit more work. But you'll get to an agreement.
I do love that. I love that. So, today we've spoken about the CRM is the heartbeat.
The pipeline?
Did I say the pipeline? The CRM, I meant the pipeline. The pipeline's the heartbeat. I want to add something on here, and we can talk about it in the cultural performance, which is our next episode. But you need to understand how that pipeline works in order to move your opportunities to the next stage. Because if you've got no way how that works, you're just not ever going to make a success of that. We've spoken about one-on-ones. Please, it is your responsibility as a leader to have good one-on-ones. And you should have it weekly. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't make it bi-weekly. Don't make it once a month. And please do not make it one big group session. Have you seen that happen?
That's a separate meeting.
That is a separate meeting.
Your team meeting and your one-on-ones are separate meetings.
I've seen team meetings where the sales leader sits and goes, so what are your numbers? What are your numbers? What a shitty sales meeting, I have to say.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a sales meeting.
What that is if you've got, 6 salespeople in the room, you've got 1 feeling pressured and 5 feeling bored at any point of time. Absolutely, because the rest just go, I'm out of here. Okay, so tips for sales leaders, 3 tips, and then we'll leave and we'll come back.
Hold your one-on-ones every week. Make sure your priority is to support your people to improve their performance.
Yes.
And encourage and support honesty. They're really the big 3 things.
I love it, Ken. Thank you for joining me at Ignite Purpose. And shall we say goodbye to the audience?
Yes, thank you very much, Christina.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.